After I have chosen my text evidence, which is again this right here that I showed how to find in the last video, I need to first, before I actually write the evidence, I need to have context, just like for everything else. I need some background information to this quote. I can't just jump right into it, or my reader's going to be super confused about, well, where did this even come from? What am I talking about? So first I got to be like, how would I introduce this quote about the Iroquois, which again came from this source right here, the Iroquois Confederacy. So I would introduce it by essentially letting people know who the Iroquois were. I'd say something like one major, not G major, major group of Native Americans that impacted the new country was the Iroquois. I think, yes, I spelled it right. And I would say according to, and then the name of my source or the title, which is just the Iroquois Confederacy. I'm just going to copy and paste that here. To the text, and then I give the name of the text, and I'm just call it the text, and then I unbold that. It says, and then that's where, after this, I would have my quote. So that's my context. Just says who it was. Who am I talking about? What's the text? So next I would have my actual quote, but now I need to explain my quote. So what is this quote here? They'd practiced democracy before Europeans arrived in North America. Some historians argued the structure of America's own system of democratic government, the concept of having a constitution, in addition to having 3 branches of government and checks and balances, was borrowed from the Iroquois. So what does this quote mean to me? And how does it prove my assertion or thesis that the American Revolution was not very revolutionary from the perspective of Native Americans? So this is what I'm going to do in this box here, is interpret or explain this quote. So I would write here, this shows that the system of government that was created after the American Revolution was, and of course, spelling errors, just fix them, was nothing new for Native peoples, and that they already had the new, I'm going to put it in quotes to kind of like make fun of it, new government that came with the revolution. This shows that there was not a major change for Native Americans because of the revolution. Again, that would be my first evidence chunk. I've got my quote, first context for the quote, then I put the quote, and then I interpret the quote. So what you're going to do next is do this whole thing one more time, because you need 2 evidence chunks for each body paragraph. So after you've done this once, do it twice, but with a different quote. Again, make sure it matches your assertion. So if my assertion is still about Native Americans, well, I've already used this quote, I need a different one. I'd probably find a quote from this document here, find one I think's good, and then just repeat the process of having some context for my quote, the quote itself, and then interpret the quote. That's what you're going to do in this box here. And then after you've done that a second time, just copy and paste everything together. Your context, your quote, your interpretation, copy that here, and then copy box 5, and you have your finished, completed first paragraph.